Mr. President, members of the Court. On behalf of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, I stand before you today as the evilness of the Israeli occupation of Palestine is being displayed in the bloodiest and most inhumane way. The Israeli aggression on Gaza, which your esteemed court has indicated warrants examination of plausible genocide, rages on. It is shattering thousands of lives. It is destroying a community of 2.3 million Palestinians who have already been suffering the oppression of occupation. 500,000 Palestinians in Gaza are at integrated food security phase classification level 5, facing starvation. This number is 4 times that in the whole world. In Gaza, Palestinians are dying by Israel's war. They are also dying from hunger and lack of medication as Israel prevents the delivery of food and medicine in violation of international humanitarian law and in defiance of the provisional measures you have ordered. This aggression has to end and end immediately. Those responsible for it must face justice. No country must be allowed to be above the law. Israel is acting and has been allowed to act in complete disregard of international law. That cannot continue. The occupation is unlawful. It is inhumane. It must end. Yet Israel has been systematically consolidating the occupation. It is blatantly denying Palestinians' right to self-determination. Its illegal unilateral measures are creating new facts on the ground that are killing all prospects for peace. Settlements, illegal under international law, are growing in numbers and are spreading farther in occupied Palestinian land. The number of settlers has grown from 280,000 in 1993 when the Oslo Accords were signed to over 700,000 today, nearly a 150% increase. Settler terrorism is a growing evil. Its victims are innocent Palestinians, their homes and their livelihoods. As the occupying power, Israel has a legal obligation to protect civilians, to preserve cultural and historical heritage, and to refrain from forcing demographic changes. It is constantly and intentionally violating this obligation. Israel is forcing demographic changes in the occupied Palestinian territory, destroying cultural and historical Palestinian heritage, confiscating and annexing Palestinian land, driving Palestinians out of their homes, their farms, their villages and their cities. It is illegally detaining thousands of children, men and women, and subjecting them to physical and mental torture, humiliation and abuse. Israel is violating the right of Muslims and Christians to freedom of worship. The Israeli government is severely restricting Muslims' right to pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque and is taking no real action to protect Christian priests from humiliation and abuse by Israeli extremists. Throughout decades of occupation, Israel has been working on changing the Arab, Muslim and Christian identity of the holy sites in occupied Jerusalem. Mr. President, members of the Court, peace is the right of all peoples of the region. But there can be no peace until occupation ends. There can be no peace until the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination is realized by the establishment and global recognition of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital on June 4, 1967 lines that can live side by side Israel in peace and security. The Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan has been relentlessly working for peace. We have suffered the consequences of conflict. We know the value of peace to us, to the region and to the world, and we know what it takes to achieve peace, the end of occupation and justice, freedom and statehood for the Palestinians. The two-state solution must be implemented and the Palestinian state must be recognized and accepted as a full member of the United Nations. And for the sake of peace and justice, Jordan will not relent in its effort to defend Muslim and Christian holy sites in occupied Jerusalem and to preserve their identity, as we shoulder our responsibilities under the historical Hashemite custodianship of the holy sites and the special role the Kingdom has towards them. Mr. President, members of the Court, Palestinians are being killed in the hundreds every day in Gaza and in the West Bank because Israel is not being held accountable for its war crimes and violation of international law. Children are undergoing surgery without anesthesia. 6-year-old Hind was left in the car for days next to the decaying bodies of her relatives whom Israel has killed. When medics finally arrived to rescue her, the Israeli occupation army killed them and killed her. This brutality that tortured and killed Hind is a constant reality of life under the Israeli occupation. No more. Rule that this brutality can be no more. Help deliver justice. Rule that the Israeli occupation, the source of all evil, must end. Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Court.